Very few people in the world get to the place to where they only need 5 words to be introduced, and it says it all. The lone survivor, Marcus Luttrell. Welcome to the program, Marcus. How are you, sir?
Hey, brother.
So I've been thinking about you this week, and I've been speculating on you, and I can't imagine that if you were in the situation that you were in, that you would want the President of the United States to release 5 of the worst guys in Guantanamo. Am I wrong?
No, sir. Matter of fact, that's what most people have been asking me and talking to me about. I never thought, that thought never even crossed my mind when I was out there when the Taliban had me. I mean, they didn't have me for 5 years like they had him, but the thing that I held on to was that my teammates would come get me, or I was going to die out there, not turn over some of the guys that were responsible for some of the worst atrocities that we've seen so far. So that was that one caught me off guard. I really wasn't expecting that. Plus, you kind of go in with the understanding, or you don't kind of, you do go in with the understanding that this is war. So if you get killed, if you get captured, then stand by. You better work your way through it. That's why they send us to a lot of the schools that they send us to help us navigate through all that stuff, including all the way up to a bloodshed. So I don't know if he had a bloodshed on him or not, but I mean, there's multiple things that we go through if by chance they do get captured. One of the, I mean, most of the time we just don't go. We just don't go. But you know, like I said, from what I understand from his teammates and everybody who was around him, he kind of just decided to walk off and go sightseeing out in Afghanistan.
He there's only 2 explanations on what happened after he was captured. 1, he was tortured and he gave up information. 2, he gave it gladly.
Mm-hmm.
Any insight on that?
Man, from looking at him, from what I heard about him, he can't have that much. I mean, he wasn't high up in the totem. He wasn't SF or anything like that. I mean, so I don't know how much he could have given them besides training tactics that they have in the Army, but they already know those. I think, moreover, they were just, and that's the part that kind of caught me off guard too, was the fact that they held him. They normally don't do that. They were constantly. I mean, the whole deal behind me was they wanted to cut my head off, and they were doing everything they could to get to me to kill me.
Well, they don't keep people for 5 years without cutting their head off.
Right. The Hassanis didn't have me, but when you were recaptured by our guys, did any of the guys that were holding you? Can you imagine? Because this has just been released on video by the other side, by the Taliban, and they said it was weird. Because, and in fact, I want to quote it to you because this sounds sarcastic, but we don't understand British humor. There's no way they understand American sarcasm. Listen to what they said after they put him in the U.S. helicopter. Listen to what the Taliban said on video.
They were in such a hurry, they didn't even let us shake hands with Bergdahl to say goodbye. It was very strange.
Huh? Did the people that wanted to cut your head off, do you think they just wanted to shake your hand and say?
Right, yeah, there wasn't any sweet goodbyes when I got out of there. I mean, it was an all-out gunfight, so that's
okay.
I'm kind of out of the loop out here. I mean, you know where I'm at, so I haven't been able to really get up to speed on what's been going down, other than the fact that I've talked to a couple of my buddies who were over there, and a couple of guys that got killed, actually trying to get that joker out of there, and they're not happy. I mean, overall, they're pretty upset with the whole fact that this went down the way it did.
All right, so let me go here. Let's play the audio of this press conference with the president and Bergdahl's dad. Now, let me ask you this. Marcus, how long were you held?
5 days.
If you were there for 5 years, do you think you would still understand English?
Was that a trick?
No, it's not a trick question. You'll understand why I asked it. Do you think you would understand English if you were held for 5 years? There's
Yeah,
no
I'm
trick
not-
to
yeah,
this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, unless I took a head injury. Or
Yeah,
something.
okay, all right. Unless you took a head injury. Got it. I just wanted to make sure we're very clear. I've not been in these situations. You have been, so you can answer that. You also speak Pashto a little bit, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Listen to the press conference and tell me your thoughts on this.
This is Bergdahl's dad.
I'd like to say to Bowe right now, who's having trouble speaking English, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Zayabayem. I'm your father, Bowe. The people of Afghanistan, the same. Khalifa al-Thani, the complicated nature of this.
So he's speaking in...
Wait. Just what you heard. Do you have any thoughts before we come back and kind of... Oh, but do you have... What's your first reaction to that?
I couldn't hear the last part, but they say, he said, I'm your father, Bo, but then he goes, and the people of Afghanistan?
Yeah, and he was wishing the same blessing or greeting or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's pretty... I mean, you never know what the family members and everything, what they were going through when their son's missing, everything like that. I can attest to that because of when I got home with my mom and dad they were a train wreck, and I wasn't gone that long.
Were they speaking Afghani by the time you got back, though?
No.
Yeah.
Spanish,
Were
though.
they
Were on their way to Pashto.
Were they tweeting to the world after you had received, after you had been rescued?
No.
Were they tweeting positive things about shutting down Guantanamo and returning these good souls to their families?
No, they were. I wasn't allowed to speak to them right off the bat. You remember the tour that I went on? I was in the hospital for a while and everything like that. So they were just waiting, kind of at bating breath, just kind of waiting for me to get to where they could get to me to see me. And it was an all-out lockdown when I was in transit on the way back, and no email traffic, Facebook traffic, or
when he said my son doesn't speak English very well, and then he went in to say in English, "I'm your father, Bo." I didn't really understand that.
Did he not speak English when he went in?
No,
he spoke English.
Spoke fluent English.
Fluent English.
Yeah.
And we're just wondering, there is one CIA operative that has come out yesterday and said that greeting is very important in the Islamic world, and he was laying claim for Islam to the White House end of the event. Do you know enough Pashto to be able to say anything about that?
One thing about it is it's interpreted. So depending on who he's talking to and who's hearing the message is how it's going to be received. So with that culture and that language, you say if Gulab heard it or something like that, it would be a greeting and whatever. And then if you go down the road a little ways to the people who are all the way on the fanatical end, then it means another thing. That's the crazy thing about the culture and the language and saying certain things. Certain things you could say to somebody over there and everything's fine, and you say it to somebody else and they're gonna kill you. So it's a complicated.
Sounds like New
thing,
York.
But obviously he knew who he was directing that to. His captors, which were. I mean, let's church anything up. They're the bad guys.
Marcus, good to talk to you. How you feeling?
Great. Just down here trying to stay ahead of the curve, keep from going underneath the knife again.
How's your brother?
He's good. They retired. They just retired him, so he's up in your neck of the woods he's in med school.
How many tours has he completed?
12 or 13, I think, when he broke his back again.
13 tours. I mean, he broke his back, in the helicopter crash.
Do we have 13 tours combined among us here? Because I don't think we
don't
do.
have one. We don't have a 3-hour tour with Gilligan's Island.
By the way, Lone Survivor DVD out yesterday, Marcus.
Yeah.
I mean, how
and
great.
Congratulations.
We hadn't talked to you. I mean, how great
success
was
of that.
the
That
success?
was outrageous.
Huh.
Would that wind up
Come out
120
yesterday.
million domestically or something like that? 125?
And I don't know that.
He doesn't. It's
Really?
so great. He doesn't even know or care, but it was a huge success. And the DVD, if you for some reason haven't seen this movie yet, go out and get it. It's out on DVD now.
Marcus, one last thing. the president in the last week has brushed off the VA scandal. We're no longer talking about the VA scandal.
Mm-hmm. You don't think that move wouldn't? Look, I don't ever talk bad about the president, and you know that you're not going to get me to say anything ill about the office. But I will say this: it's been a good job on the politicians shucking off that VA scandal by doing the Bergdahl thing. That provides plenty of top cover, even if it did backfire. And releasing those guys is a bad move. Now, you can listen to anybody you want, or you can listen to the people who were over there and have seen it and know what we're talking about. And I watched something on TV yesterday or a couple of days ago, and this lady was talking about the Bergdahl's platoon mates, saying they didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
What kind of buffoonery is that? And look, you're playing with the dangerous end of the knife here with what you've done. And I understand people. They're just like, the Taliban has been eradicated. They're not around anymore. Well, how you build something like that is from the top down, not from the bottom up. So you put the brain trust in there, and they recruit, build. They're the brains of the whole organization. That's the dangerous part of it. It's not just, okay, these 5 guys, they can't do anything. They're just 5 guys a year in Qatar. Let me tell you something. I don't know what that's supposed to mean when you put them in Qatar like that. What do you think that's prison or something? Gitmo is prison. That's a jump over the pond right there for those guys. And I can't stress this enough that there's going to be some bloodshed here in the future. You don't get that passive, peaceful soul sitting in Gitmo.
Somebody was saying the other day, and I happen to agree with it. It was spooky the way the president was greeted at West Point. I've never seen a colder reception for a president. There were 12,000 people there, and it sounded when he waited for applause, and by the time he got to the podium, they had all stopped. Nobody was standing, or I would say less than 20% of the crowd was standing, giving him a standing ovation. During his speech, he talks about global warming. He never mentions the VA. And there are times that it sounds like there are 30 people applauding with 12,000 people there. It was frightening because it showed the disconnect between the president and the armed forces.
I didn't see that.
How do we? I mean, how does the president hold things together when he has violated the trust with the VA? He's releases. How does that work, Marcus?
Truth be told, sir, I don't know. Like I said, I don't speak ill of the office. Because I've heard that he's a nice guy. I've heard that he's a good guy and he's good to talk to, and you can get up. But I mean, just because you're a good guy, that doesn't make you a good SEAL, and that doesn't make you a good president. And people need to know that. I think that maybe the people that surround him just keep him isolated to the fact to where he doesn't know what's going down until after it goes down. I've heard a couple of situations to where he heard about it while he was watching the news or something.
Yeah.
And if the people that you surround yourself with if they're backing you up in a bad way, well, bad things are going to happen. I mean, you're the president, so it's not one of the things that needs to be things. You don't need to sugarcoat anything and be like, hey, look, man, you jacked this up. You need to step up and take responsibility for it. Or you're like, we jacked up. And we jacked this whole thing up, and we're going to take the hit on it. Irregardless, the buck stops with the man. And, I don't know. There's a reason why I don't follow politics, and I stay as far away from that crap as possible, man, because I like to see my enemy in front of me. And there's just so many moving parts. And what you were talking about with the VA, and everybody's shocked that the guys are finally starting to die. And so the VA is an incredible black hole. You won't be able to fix it unless you shut it down and rebuild it. I saw something the other day where they were shutting down the assets for the soldiers so the guys could get their bonuses. The fee.
Yeah, there's
when you have that stuff going down, just like it did on Wall Street and with the housing and everything like that, it's going to break.
Yeah, there's pictures and information on the Blaze today about how there was just there's feces in the hallways and I mean it's a mess.
Oh, bro, let me tell you something. There's a reason why they put popcorn machines and coffee shops in the front of the VA, in the lobby. And that's the massive smell of death and feces and stuff like that. You didn't know that?
No, I did not know that.
I mean, don't get me, and there's good doctors in there. There is, and there's people busting their butts and trying to get these guys what they need, but it's not enough of them, and they slam into a wall, and I avoid that place like the plague.
Literally, Marcus, thank you. We love you, and say hi to the family.
Yeah, love you, bro. I'll see you when I get back.
See ya.